Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityala Pavishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityala Pavishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityala Pavishtam Vishnupada Shatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shata Rashata Shmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Padadash Raghunath Shara Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री कात्यायनी व्रत की जय। कात्यायनी व्रत समाप्ति दिवस की जय। सर्वव्रज देवी गण की जय। श्री वृषभानु नंदिनी श्रीमती राधा ठाकुरानी की जय। विजेंद्र नंदन श्याम सुंदर श्री कृष्ण चंद्र की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। सारार्थ-दार्शिनी वृत्ति की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर की जय। श्री श्री भ्रमर-गीत की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना Vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hari Bo, Hari Priya Didi. Oh, and Charudasi? As you say, Charu is with you also? And Raseshwari Mataji, Madhavi Didi, and Indira Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Bhavatarani Mataji, Nri Hari Prabhu, and Ganga Mataji. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Wow, everybody's here early today. Or not early, but just, yeah, a lot of people. Oh my God, I forgot to open it up. There. All right, so yesterday I'll read from here. Bhagavat Pravaha. One day, Lord Krishna sent his intimate friend Uddhav to go to Vrindavan to console his parents and the gopis. Nanda Maharaj welcomed Uddhav warmly and inquired about the welfare of his sons. Uddhav could witness the unparalleled affection of Nanda and Yashoda as they lovingly remembered Krishna with tear-filled eyes. Uddhav praised their devotion profusely and passed the whole night talking about Krishna. In the morning, the Vraj gopis saw lotus-eyed Uddhav, who resembled Krishna in looks and attire. They brought him to a secluded place and began to remember Krishna's pastimes as they wept in separation. Haribol Gopikanta Prabhu. Jai Shri Radhe. Haripriya, cool. This is going to take 4 days to get through the Bhramara-gi. I prepared I divided all that out. Okay. How come it's not all the way back here? Let me just go to this. Sorry, guys. Okay. Chapter 47, the Song of the Gita. Let's see the last verses we ended. Okay, while Krishna's messenger continued speaking with Nanda, the night ended, O king. The women of the cowherd village rose from bed and, lighting lamps, worshipped their household deities, and they began churning the yogurt into butter. As they pulled on the churning ropes with their bangled arms, the women of Vraj shone with the splendor of their jewels, which reflected in the lamp's light. Their hips, breasts, and necklaces moved about, and their faces, anointed with reddish kumkum, glowed radiantly with the luster of their earrings reflecting from their cheeks. As the ladies of Vraj loudly sang the glories of lotus-eyed Krishna, their songs blended with the sound of their churning, ascended to the sky, and dissipated all inauspiciousness in every direction. So Srila Viśvanātha Ṭhākura says, therefore it is understood that at the end of night, Uddhav was seeing the manifestation of Vraj with Krishna present there, just as he had seen at the end of the previous day upon arriving in Vraj. So he got to have that vision of Vraj with Krishna there. Otherwise, everybody's just weeping in distress and, there's no food, none of this is going on. Okay. When the godly sun had, the people of Vraj noticed the golden chariot in front of Nanda Maharaj's doorway. Who does this belong to? Perhaps Akrura has returned. He held Kamsa's desire by taking lotus-eyed Krishna to Mathura. Is he going to use our flesh to offer funerations for his master, who is so satisfied with his service? As the women of Vraj were speaking in this way, Uddhav appeared, having finished his early morning duties. Chapter 47, Song of the Bee, Bhramara-gi. Shri Shuka Uvacha Tam Vikshya Krishnanucharam Vrajastriya Paralamba Bahum Navakanjalochanam Pitambara Pushkaramalinam Lasan Mukharavindam Parimrishta Kundalam Suvismita Koyam Apiva Darshana Kutascha Kasya Chutavesha Bhushana Iti Smasarva Parivavrur Utsukas Tam Uttama Shloka Padam Pujashraya. Shukadev Goswami said, the young women of Vraj became astonished upon seeing Lord Krishna's servant, who had long arms, whose eyes resembled a newly grown lotus, who wore a yellow garment and a lotus garland, and whose lotus-like face glowed with brightly polished earrings. Who is this handsome man? The gopis asked. Where has he come from, and whom does he serve? He is wearing Krishna's clothes and ornaments. Saying this, the gopis eagerly crowded around Uddhav, whose shelter was the lotus feet of Lord Uttama Sri Krishna. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. In this chapter, Uddhav hears the 10 types of Chitra Jalpa, Radha's surprising talk or prattling, symptomatic of the highest stage of divine love or of madness, Mahabhav. He then gives Krishna's message to the gopis, praises them, and returns to Mathura to report to Krishna. The word suvismita, very astonished, means that the gopis were surprised, thinking, how did Uddhav attain Krishna's yellow dhoti and his lotus garland? In some editions, suvismita is replaced with the word shuchismita, which means the gopis' smiles were pure, shuddha, because of the joy arising from seeing Uddhav in dress which reminded him of Krishna. Who is this handsome man? Where has he come from, and whose servant is he? Seeing Uddhav, the gopis became excited over the possibility of obtaining news about Krishna. Tam prashrayena vanata susatkritam savredaha sekshana sunrita divi rahasya prichan upavishtamasane vigyaya sandhesha haram ramapate. Bowing their heads in humility, the gopis duly honored Uddhav with their shy, smiling glances and pleasing words. They took him to a quiet place, seated him comfortably, and began to question him, for they recognized him to be a messenger from Krishna, the master of the goddess of fortune. Commentary. The gopis bowed their heads out of humility. Being naturally bashful, they covered their heads with their veils. This bashfulness suddenly appears on its own upon meeting any respectable person. Thinking that Uddhav must be an intimate friend of their beloved, the gopis smiled, looked at him with curious eyes, greeted him with pleasing words, with pleasing words of welcome, and worshipped him with foot wash and other items suitable to the time and place. They then asked Uddhav questions in private, unseen by outsiders. By his coming promptly to such a place, they understood that Uddhav was bearing news about Krishna, the master of Lakshmi. Sri Shukadev Goswami, siding with the gopis, showed some jealousy towards Krishna by addressing him as Rama Pate, the husband of Lakshmi. By this phrase, Shukadev Goswami implies the following. The goddess of fortune herself is coming soon to Mathura to make Krishna happy. So what purpose could Krishna have in making so what purpose could Krishna have in making a pretense of sending messages to the cowherd girls? So he's kind of, what's the word, chiding Krishna, isn't he? Is that the right word? Anyways, 1 second. I forgot to check if the mic is working. Hare Krishna, Gargaraj-ji, Davat Pranam. Okay, it is. Janimastvam yadupate parshadam samupagatam bhartreha preshita pitror bhavan priya chikirshaya. The gopi said, "We know that you are the personal servant of Krishna, the chief of the Yadus, and that you have come here on the order of your good master, who desires to give pleasure to his parents." Commentary. The gopi said, "We know who you are, so we do not have to ask. You are a follower of the Lord of the Yadus." By the word Yadupate, chief of the Yadus, the gopis imply that even though Krishna is of the cowherd community, he is now living as the king of the Yadus. Having attained such a big post, why would he want to come back here? Therefore, it seems, O Uddhav, that Krishna has sent you, not for us, but to pacify his mother and father. In other words, we think Krishna has sent you out of fear of criticism from the public, who might say, "What use has Krishna for his parents who are cowherd people? Nanda and Yashoda may cry themselves to death, but Krishna will simply stay here in Mathura and rule as king." "Oh, charming fellow, the crest jewel of intelligent persons has sent you to satisfy his parents. Having come here, you should go to Nanda and Yashoda. Upon receiving you, they will forget about Krishna in their ecstasy. Indeed, the sharpness of Krishna's intelligence has come in handy." In this way, there are many such implications of criticism hidden in the gopis' words of false praise, which arise as the subtle new buds on the tree of their words. Anyata govrajetasya smaraniyam nachakshame. Say, nachakshmahe. Snehanu bandhu nam munerapi sudustyaja. We see nothing else he might consider worth remembering in these cow pastures of Vraj. Indeed, the bonds of affection for one's family members are difficult to break, even for a sage. Commentary. The gopi said, we do not see anyone else worthy of remembrance in Vraj. In other words, if Krishna has in this way disregarded even his parents Yashoda and Nanda, whom he remembers, then how is it possible for such persons like us to have a place in his memory at all? Even those who take sannyas find it hard to give up the relationship with their father and mother. But Krishna has very easily given up his relationships with countless wives of others whom he enjoyed. Just see the severity of Krishna's renunciation. Anyarta krita maitri yavararta vidampanam pumbhistrishu krita yadvat samanasviva shatpadai. The friendship shown towards others, those who are not family members, is motivated by personal interest, and thus it is a pretense that lasts only until one's purpose is fulfilled. Such friendship is just like the interests men take in women, or bees in flower. Commentary. But it may be objected, because Krishna has no need for a mother, father, brother, or anyone, he should not have possessiveness for them. He has some use for you women, however, because of his wantonness, and therefore he should be remembering you all the more. The gopis respond to the objection in this verse. Friendship with those other than one's parents is motivated. Without those motives, the relationships do not exist. Thus, they should be condemned. Those who make friendship, those who are the object of friendship, and those who assist in bringing about friendship are all to be condemned because of the selfish motivation. There's friendship when there is there's friendship when there is motive, and no friendship when there is when there is no motive. The friendship of men and women is the same. Attractive women, like flowers, possess beauty, fragrance, tenderness, sweetness, and charm. As bees drink only once a flower's nectar and then leave it for another, fickle men abandon beautiful and devoted women to pursue other pleasures. Thus, since there is no friendship even when there is no oh, sorry, since there is no friendship even when there is motivation, this relationship is even more despicable. Nisvam tyajanti ganika akalpang nripyatim praja adhita vidya acharyang ritvijo dattadakshinam. Prostitutes abandon a penniless man, subjects an incompetent king, students their teacher once they have finished their education, and priests a man who has remunerated them for a sacrifice. Commentary. The last verse explains that friendships do not exist without motivation. In this verse, the gopis give a series of examples for logical illumination. Deepak Nyaya. The gopi said, "The prostitute abandons the penniless man. The citizens give up the king who cannot protect them. The priest gives up the sponsor once he has given a donation." 8. One second, I just want to drink. Kagavita palam vriksham bhuktva chatitayo griham dagdam mrigastatam dagdam gosh, sorry. Dagdam mrigastataranyam jara bhuktva ratam striyam. Birds abandon a tree when its fruits are gone, guests a house after they have eaten, animals a forest that has burnt down, and a lover the woman he has enjoyed, even though she remains attached to him. Commentary. The gopis said, "Birds give up a tree once the fruits are gone. A paramour gives up a woman, though she is eager for enjoyment. But as long as she is young, he does not give her up. When the motivation disappears, the friendship ceases. Since Krishna's motives are being fulfilled by the women of Mathura, why should he remember us?" By this, they hint at Krishna's not having any love for them. In this verse, the word woman, striyam, is singular, and paramours, jara, is in the plural form. By this, the gopis imply, it is all right to reject a woman who is involved with many men out of lust. But we are many who are simply devoted to one, and still he has no love for us. Our love is not impelled by lust, since we have had love for Krishna since our childhood. By neglecting so many of us, Krishna shows unprecedented cruelty in his heart. Eti gopyo hi govinde gata vakaya manasa Krishna dute samayate uddhave tyakta lokika gayantya priya karmani rudantyascha gata hriya tasya samsmritya ani kaishora balyayo. Thus speaking, the gopis, whose words, bodies, and minds were fully dedicated to Lord Govinda, put aside all their regular work now that Krishna's messenger, Sri Uddhav, had arrived among them. Constantly remembering the activities their beloved Krishna had performed in his childhood and youth, they sang about him and cried without shame. Commentary. Tyakta Lokika means the gopis had abandoned the customs of general society by revealing with their own mouths their indulgence in illicit love. While repeatedly singing about Krishna's pastimes in childhood and youth, the gopis forgot all expectations and wept openly before Krishna's messenger, Uddhav. Of his childhood and youth, Kaishora Balyayo. This indicates that ever since their childhood, the gopis' love for Krishna had been unconditional, nirupadika. It is not the case that in youth the gopis' love became conditionally motivated by lusty desires. Kachin madhukaram drishtva dhyayanti Krishna sangaman priya prastapitam dutam kalpayit vedama bravit. One of the gopis, while meditating on her previous association with Krishna, saw a honeybee before her and imagined it to be a messenger sent by her beloved. Thus she spoke as follows. Commentary. According to Sanatana Goswami's Sri Vaishnav Toshani, this gopi is the embodiment of the seventh stage of Krishna Prem, pure love of Godhead, known as Mahabhav. There's Sneha, Man, Pranay, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, and then finally Mahabhav, which itself is the essence of Krishna's pleasure potency, his Ladini Shakti. In other words, this gopi is Vrishabhanu Nandini Shri Radha. Imagining in her meditation how Krishna is associating with the women of Mathura, Radhika experiences the rise of anger of Man within herself and thinks, "My beloved Shri Krishna has sent this messenger to pacify me." Thinking in this way, Radha addresses one bumblebee which had just flown in front of her. Or else, on the pretense of speaking to the bee, Radha was actually directing her words to Uddhav. How should we sing this? One second. Yadu sadasi vidambhyam yasya dutas. Okay, I just needed to figure out the meter. Okay, Gopya Uvacha, Gopyuvacha. Madhupakitava bandho masprishangrem sapatnya kucha vilulita mala kumkumashmashrubirna vahatu madhupatistai maninam prasadam yadu sadasi vidambyam yasya dhutastama idri. The gopi said, "O honeybee, O friend of a cheater, don't touch my feet with your whiskers, which are smeared with the kumkum that rubbed onto Krishna's garland when it was crushed by the breast of a rival lover. Let Krishna satisfy the women of Mathura. One who sends a messenger like you will certainly be ridiculed in the Yadu's assembly." Commentary. Seeing the bee greedy for the fragrance of her lotus feet, Sri Radha spoke impulsively due to the influence of divine madness. "O bee, friend of a wicked cheater," Radha then enumerates the reasons why Krishna should be called a cheater. Krishna said, "For my sake, you all have given up everything to come here filled with loving attention, yet I have given you up. Please forgive me for this injustice I have done." That's in chapter 32, verse 21. Krishna also said, "You have surrendered yourselves to me with the highest attraction, and it is impossible for me to repay you. Naparayeham." That's the next verse in that same chapter. While thus sitting on Akrura's chariot, Krishna sent a message to us gopis who were pained by the impending separation from him, saying, "I will quickly come back from Mathura." Because these statements are false, Krishna can rightly be called a cheater. O bee, As a friend of that cheater, you are playing the role of a messenger. Don't touch my feet. The bee, making a buzzing sound, seemed. What is this? Will you not let me offer obeisances to you? Radha said, My feet will be contaminated if a drinker of my feet will be contaminated if a drinker of liquor, madhupa, touches them. So if you want to pay obeisances, then fly some distance and do it. Radha used the word madhupa, which means a drinker of liquor. According to the definition found in the Artha-Varga dictionary, madhu madhye pushparase. Madhu can either mean liquor or the sap of a flower, or honey, The bee seemed to reply, Why are you accusing me of being drunk when I'm faultless? Radha said, This is not just an accusation, it is true. Do not touch me with your whiskers, tinged by the kumkum of the flower garlands from another woman's breasts, which has been crushed by contact with Krishna's chest, or the garland worn by Krishna, which has been crushed by another woman's breasts. In this way, Radhika ascribes such to the natural yellowness of a bee's whiskers. Radha continued, The facts that you have come here to conciliate me, the facts that you have come here to conciliate me, the maker of that garland, without even first washing off such kumkum, is indeed due to a complete lack of discrimination on your part, which is a sure sign of having been drinking liquor. You should have the sense to know that such an exhibition will only increase my jealousy and not decrease it. As the bee continued to hum, one second. God. Okay. As the bee continued to hum, Radha thought that he was again speaking. In any case, you should be happy. Radha replied, My dear bee, O protector of the liquor, go back to your master, guard his storehouse of liquor, and drink some yourself. That is a good job for you because you are too stupid to be a qualified messenger. While flying around and humming, the bee seemed to be saying, I see you're finding many faults. Why should I listen to all this? Now I'm going to Mathura. Let Krishna come himself and make you happy. Radha said, Krishna has now become the master of all the madhus. Krishna has now become the master of all the madhus in general. Although by his birth from Vrajeshwari's womb, that's Yashoda's womb, Krishna belongs to the cowherd caste, by some good fortune he has become a kshatriya. Therefore, let him always satisfy those kshatriya women in Mathura. What use does Krishna have for us low-class cowherd women? But when Krishna enjoys one of them, another will become jealous. She'll have man. And when he satisfies that second one, yet another will become jealous. Thus, Krishna will have to continuously satisfy them, one after the other. Consequently, Krishna will have no free time to come here to see us. By the plural usage of the word maninam, jealous women, Radha establishes that the women of the Madhu dynasty are countless, and thus Krishna should satisfy each and every one of them. The bee seemed to say, You are the ocean of good fortune for Krishna. You should not speak like this. If his mind is not fixed on you, why has he sent me here as his messenger? Radha answered, You are the carrier of the marks of Krishna's love affairs with the Kshatriya women. Indeed, this will be the cause of Krishna being ridiculed in the assembly of the Yadus. When the news of Krishna's transgressions with the Yadu women becomes known, their husbands will scorn him. Or else, there will be ridicule against that assembly of Yadus who are related to him and who has a messenger like you. In other words, the Yadus will be condemned by the other Kshatriyas in different countries because their women were enjoyed by a cowherd man. He who has a messenger like you is also a Madhupati, the master of intoxicating liquor. In this way, Krishna must be a drunkard, since it is in the stupor of intoxication that he would have made a bee like you his messenger. All the words used in this verse arise from the different emotions experienced by Radha. The word kitava, cheater, arises from Radha's indignation, asuya. The word sapatnya, rival lover, arises from jealousy, irshya. The phrase ma sprisha angrim, do not touch my feet, expresses pride, mada. The words beginning vahatu, let him bring, come from Radha's desire to disrespect, avadhiranam. The phrase yadu sadasi vidambyam, scorned in the assembly of the yadus, expresses Radha's urge to utter harsh words to decry Krishna's tactless treatment of her. This and the following 9 verses exemplify 10 varieties of mad emotional talks, chitrajalpa, spoken impulsively by a lover. This verse illustrates the qualities of prajalpa as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Ujjvala Nilamani 14.182. Asuryeshya madayuja yo vadhirana mudraya priyasya lodkara prajalpa satukirtyate. Prajalpa is speech that denigrates. Prajalpa is a speech that denigrates the tactlessness of one's lover with expressions of disrespect. It is spoken in a mood of envy, jealousy, and pride. Sakrid adharasudhang swam mohinim payitva. Oh, oops, sorry. Let me. 1 second. Let me drink some water and then I'll sing this right properly. Okay. Sakre dadara sudang swam mohini payayitva sumanasa iva sadyas tatyajesman pavadre paricharati katang tvat pada parmam nu parma yapi bhattarida cheta Yuttama shloka jalpai. Yuttama shloka jalpai. After making us drink the enchanting nectar of his lips only once, Krishna suddenly abandoned us, just as you might quickly abandon some flowers. How is it then that goddess Padma willingly serves his lotus feet? Alas, the answer must certainly be that her mind has been stolen away by his deceitful words. Commentary. The bee seemed to say, "This yellow color on my whiskers is only natural since I am a bee. It is not the kumkum from Krishna's association with another woman. What offense has Krishna committed? He thinks only of you and never looks at any of the women in Mathura, even while dreaming. Why have you become so angry?" Radha replies, "After making us drink the nectar of his lips just once, Krishna has given us up. That is his offense." Though Krishna had actually kissed the gopis many times, by saying that Krishna kissed them only once, Radha expresses her extreme loving thirst out of attachment to Krishna. Radha continued, "Because Krishna's lips are full of nectar, in spite of our suffering, we have not died. Krishna previously considered, if all the gopis die of such torment, then who will be left that I can torture? So to prevent them from dying, I will make them drink the nectar of my lips." That's the meaning of Radha's words. Radha said, "Then after giving us just a taste of that nectar, Krishna immediately abandoned us. You should consider that if Krishna really wanted to give us happiness, he would have forcibly made us drink the nectar repeatedly. The buzzing bee said, "But if this is the case, then why do you chaste ladies still desire him?" Radha answered, "That nectar destroyed our intelligence. By tasting that nectar, our hopes in this and sorry, by tasting that nectar, our hopes in this and the next life have all been destroyed." Krishna does not consider the saying, "One should never cut down a tree one himself has planted, even if it is poisonous." What Krishna likes and dislikes is astonishing. Just as Vishnu made the demigods drink the nectar churned from the milk from the ocean, Krishna made us drink the nectar of his lips. Yet he also abandoned us, just as a bee abandons jasmine flowers. The bee said, "But when Krishna abandoned you, was it your fault or his?" Radha answered, "Just as you abandon flowers, so Krishna abandoned us. Just consider whose fault it is when a bee abandons some jasmine flowers. We are also famous in Vraj as being like the jasmine flowers in fragrance, softness, attractiveness, and purity due to our spotlessly clean minds. Whereas Krishna is famous for being like a fickle bee, desiring only his own pleasure. This is not just a poetic metaphor. It is Krishna's fault of fickleness that makes him abandon a multitude of jasmines and become attracted to inferior flowers, only again to detach himself later from them. Why should we not become angry with Krishna out of jealousy, just as we would with the bee?" The bee argued, "It is well known from scriptures that Krishna is faultless. After all, Garga Muni, who knows the scriptures, has said that Krishna is equal to Narayan. Narayana Samaha." Radha said, "Well, that may be, but how can that cover up what we see in real life? How can that cover up what we see in real life, such as the way he cheats others?" Pondering this, Radha found a reason why Lakshmi serves Krishna. Lakshmi serves Krishna because her mind is taken away by any and all glorification of him submitted by ordinary garrulous flatterers. Lakshmi is thus very simple-minded. But we, on the other hand, having been endowed by the Creator with the assets of insight, wit, and broad intelligence, are not going to act like her. In this verse, the words payayitva, by making us drink, and mohinim, we lose our intelligence, show Krishna's deceptive nature. The word sadhya, he instantly gives them up, expresses Krishna's mercilessness in abandoning the gopis. The word bhavadrik, like you, the bee, indicates Krishna's unsteadiness, and the allusion to Lakshmi's being simple-minded reveals Radha's cleverness. All the words indicate Krishna's ungrateful nature and the complete lack of love for them. This verse is an example of parijalpa, which is described in Sri Ujjvala Nilamani 14.184. Prabhur nidayata shatya chapaladupapanat swavichakshanata vyaktir bhangya syat parijalpitam. Parijalpa is that speech which, through various devices, shows one's own cleverness by exposing the mercilessness, duplicity, fickleness, ungratefulness, and other qualities of one's Lord. So that was Parijalpa. 14. Kemiha bahushar angregayas. Kemiha bahusharangre gayasi tvam yaduna adipatim agrahanam agratona puranam vijaya sakasakhinam giyatam tat prasanga kshapita kucharu jaste kalpayantishtamishta. O bee, why do you say so much about the Lord of the Yadus in front of us homeless people? These topics are old news to us. Better you sing about that friend of Arjuna in front of his new girlfriends, the burning desire in whose breasts he is now relieved. Those ladies will surely give you the charity you are begging. Commentary. Seeing the bee constantly buzzing due to his nature, Radha thought, agitated by my criticism of him, he is singing his own glories. Radha then said, why are you singing in this place, the assembly of cowherd women? The songs of an ignorant bee will not please the gopis. Nevertheless, you keep on singing. Not only that, but in those songs you are publicizing the glories of the leader of the Yadus. Moreover, you are doing this right in front of us, who were made by Krishna to give up our homes and are now sitting at the edge of the forest. We will not give you even a handful of chickpeas in charity. If the bee replies, then just give me some old clothing or garlands you have worn. Radha replied, I will not give these to a complete fool like you. Reciting the Puranas, you are trying to prove that Krishna is the Lord of the Yadus. Oh, six-legged creature, Sat Angre. An animal at least has 4 legs, but you have 6, so you are an animal and a half. Thus, being so ignorant, you don't know you don't know where or what to sing. And being an animal, how would you know the Puranas? So how do you expect to receive any charity? But since you are merely an animal, we won't become angry with you. Rather, we will advise you where you should sing in order to support yourself. You should sing in front of the girlfriends of that friend of yours who is preeminently victorious or defeated, and who is preeminently victorious or defeated by them in the battle of love. You should sing all about those victories and defeats in love. Vijayasaka also Vijayasaka can also mean the friend of Arjuna, who is known as Vijaya, the victor. Previously, Krishna was known as the friend of Subal, but after he left Vraj, he became known as the friend of Arjuna. This pronouncement of things yet to come has spontaneously emanated from Radha's mouth. Radha said, the women of Mathura, now relieved of the burning pain in their breasts, will fulfill your desires, and they will be honored by hearing your song about Krishna. In this verse, we observe in Radha's mood the seed of jealous anger, which arises from an apparent disdain for Krishna, accompanied by a sarcastic sidelong glance directed toward him. This verse fits the following description of Vijalpa from the Ujjvala Nilamani 14.186. So we went through Prajalpa, Parijalpa, and this is Vijalpa. Vyaktaya suyaya gura manamudrantaralaya aghadishi katakshoktir vijalpa vidusham. According to learned authorities, Vijalpa is sarcastic speech criticizing Krishna, the killer of Agha. Such speech openly expresses jealousy while at the same time concealing the angry pride in one's heart. Devi bhuvichara sayam kastriyasta durapa kapataruchirahasa bhruvijrimbhasya yasyo charanaraja upaste yasya bhutirvayam ka api chakripana pakshe yuttama shloka shabda. In heaven, on earth, or in the subterranean sphere, what women are unavailable to him? He simply arches his eyebrows and smiles with deceptive charm, and they all become his. The supreme goddess herself worships the dust of his feet. So what is our position in comparison? But at least those who are wretched can chant his name, Uttama Shloka. Commentary. Hearing the buzzing of the bee, Radha thought he was saying, O crest jewel of Krishna's lovers, in Mathura, Krishna suffers from the piercing arrows of love. He spends his days and nights simply meditating upon you. He can be saved only if you become pleased. Radha disdainfully replied to this in this verse, Divi bhuvi charasayam ka stiryasta durapa. In heaven, on earth, or in the subterranean sphere, what women are unattainable for Krishna? The meaning is, I know perfectly well that Krishna cannot pass his time without the company of young women. If Krishna can't meet any women in Mathura, then it is good that he meditates upon us and tries to satisfy us by sending a messenger like you to bring us there. Don't tell us that the women in Mathura, being of the Kshatriya caste, will not accept a person of cowherd birth, for there is no one unavailable to Krishna in all the three worlds. Both the demigoddesses in heaven and the Nagapatnis in hell will all give up their husbands if by chance Krishna appears before them. Then what to speak of the women in Mathura? For attaining these women does not have to depend on any pious deed or monetary payment. Under false pretenses, Krishna smiles and arches his eyebrows to enchant all women. As a result, the demigoddesses and other women become the property of Krishna and no longer belong to their husbands. Simply for the price of his deceptive smile, they sell themselves and abandon their own husbands. By the word kapata, deceptive, Radha implies, Krishna is deceptive because after enjoying them once, he immediately abandons them and looks for new women. What to speak of the heavenly women? Even Lakshmi, the consort of Lord Narayan, worships the dust of Krishna's feet in order to gain his association, according to the prayers of the Nagapatnis, which we heard from the mouth of Purnamasi. Therefore, how can we remain unaffected? After all, we are only humans and mere cowherd women residing in the forest of Vrindavan. Although these words are full of humility, actually, through the inflection of Radha's voice and the nodding of her head, they imply a spiteful attitude due to pride. Through that jealousy, that spitefulness, Radha reveals her superiority to Lakshmi and all others in prem. She reveals her superiority to Lakshmi and all others in prem, beauty, and caste. Anyways, so in all those areas, she's more compatible with the Lord. She shows a superiority of her compatibility with the Lord. Sorry. Radha continued. One is called Uttama Shloka if he is merciful to the wretched and fallen. Since Krishna lacks this quality, that name, Uttama Shloka, is falsely ascribed to him. If Krishna would be merciful to me, then he would actually deserve this exalted name. Thus, Radha subtly abuses Krishna by addressing him as Uttama Shloka. Radha's speech, expressing all the feelings of a disappointed lover, indicates an intensity of love for Sri Krishna surpassing even that of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. In the first half of this verse, Radha accuses Krishna of being a cheater by citing his attraction to all women. The third line expresses Radha's spite or jealousy born out of pride, out of garva. In the last line, Radha finds fault with Krishna's behavior due to her indignation. Thus, this verse contains speech known as Ujjalpa, described in the following verse from Ujjvala Nilamani, 14.188. Hare kuha katakyanam garva garbhitayirshaya sayuyascha tarakshepo dhirar ujjalpa iryate. The declaration of Lord Hari's duplicitous nature in a mood of spite born of pride, together with jealousy, spoken insults directed against him, has been termed ujjalpa by the wise. The declaration of Lord Hari's duplicitous nature in a mood of spite born of pride, together with jealousy, spoken insults directed against him, has been termed ujjalpa by the wise. Oh, it's 8 now. I kind of want to read this verse. It's not such a long commentary because I I already divided it all up, and so I don't want there to be. Yeah, I hope you don't mind. Visrija shirasi padam vedmaham chatukarai anunaya vidushaste bheta dotyar mukundat swakrita iha vishrishta patapatnyanya loka vyasrija krita cheta kim nu sandheyamasmin Kim nu sandheyamasmin. Keep your head off my feet. I know what you're doing. You expertly learned diplomacy from Mukunda, and now you come as his messenger with flattering words. But he abandoned those who, for his own sake alone, gave up their children, husbands, and all other relations. He's simply ungrateful. Why should I make up with him now? Commentary. While the bee was flying around, it landed on Radha's foot out of greed for her fragrance. By continually buzzing, it seemed to say, "O lady, worshipable by millions of Lakshmis, truly Krishna has offended you, but I say that you should forgive him." Thinking that the bee was offering his respects to her, Radha said, "Why are you touching your head to my foot? Please go away. Let go of my foot, which you are holding on your head. In other words, get out of here." In other words, get out of here. By saying Vedamyaham, I know this, Radha means, I know you, so you cannot cheat. I know you, so you cannot cheat me like you cheat Lakshmi and others. You have learned from Mukunda, and thus are very skillful at humble entreaties and sending messengers with sweet, flattering words. Thus, I fully understand your behavior, and I know that you have learned all this from Krishna. The bee replied, but mistress, what is the use of quarreling with Krishna, who is millions of times dearer to you than your own life? Rather, you should make through me. Radha said, for Krishna's sake, we gave up children, husbands, mothers, and fathers. Yet he gave us up and left. The gopis who were prevented from going to the Ras dance gave up their children and went to meet him. We gave up husbands, and the unmarried girls gave up their parents. But despite all this, what was Krishna's response? Being ungrateful, he abandoned us. Should one make peace with such a hard-hearted person? No, never. The first half of the verse shows a gesture of sarcastic criticism, and the second half shows Krishna's ungratefulness and other qualities like treachery, mercilessness, and lack of love. This verse illustrates the qualities of Sanjalpa as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in the following verse of his Ujjvala Nilamani, chapter 14, 190. Soluntyaya gahanaya kayapyakshepamudraya tasya krita gyata dukti sanjalpa katito budhai. The learned describes Sanjalpa as that speech which decries with deep irony and insulting gestures the beloved's ungratefulness. The word adi in this verse from Ujjvala Nilamani implies that perception in one's lover of hard-heartedness, of an inimical attitude, and of a complete lack of love. Adi means and so on. All right, so that's our reading for today. and we will continue with tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Guru Dev Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Nama Chai Shila Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Braja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai, Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaurava, Shri Bhramara-gi Ki Jai, Shri Vishwabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radha Ṭhākurani Ki Jai, Shri Vijendra Nandan Sham Sundar Krishna Chandra Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Sārārtha-darśinī Vritti Ki Jai, Shri Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Ki Jai, and Shri Katyayani Vrat Ki Jai, Sarvaraja Devi Gan Ki Jai, Katyayani Vrat Samakta Divas Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyabatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. Hari Bol. And then pranams Sharma-ji, Sudevi Didi, and Prajumna Prabhu, and Indira Mataji, and Hari Priya Didi. Yeah, an animal and a half, right? Because humans have 2 legs, and animals have 4, and then bees have 6. So it gets like, the more legs you have, the more foolish you are. Hari Bol, Indira Mataji. Oh, and today is also a very auspicious day. Today is the day when Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis after they did Katyayani Vrat for 1 month, like we already read in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Then today is the day when Krishna fulfilled their vrat, their praying to Krishna. and he stole their clothes. So that whole pastime happened today. And if you would like to read something, Srivas just now translated something by Gopal Bhatta Goswami on Krishna stealing the clothes of the gopis. You can find that on his website, bigdrum.us. Bigdrum.us. And on that website, he just posted it there last night. He put an inappropriate picture, though, of Krishna stealing the gopis. The gopis actually naked. I had to call him out on that. but otherwise, it's a really nice post. It's a different story, though, actually, of Krishna stealing the gopis. Oh, and Pradyumna, your question, where can you get a recording of Srila Prabhupada's Guitar Gan? I don't know. On YouTube, there's probably recordings of it. All right, everybody. Dandavat pranams. See you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.